Hi, everyone. This is Mirna Mejia here. And today I'm going to talk a little bit more about what burnout is not about and what it actually is about. So, burnout is not necessarily about workload. Of course, if you're working very long days, 6, 7 days per week, you're going to feel exhausted. Welcome, you are a human. However, there are plenty of us that can work reasonable hours and still experience what we call burnout. And of course, there are those that are working very long days, 6, 7 days a week, and feel quite burned out. So, again, just to be clear, burnout isn't necessarily about workload. What burnout is about is really signaling that there is a chronic misalignment. What do I mean about that? Chronic misalignment includes when you are working in spaces in which you really don't have autonomy. You experience feeling quite micromanaged. There's just someone, hovering over you, including reviewing your emails before you send it out broadly. So, this might sound a little strange. However, I have also personally experienced that myself being in director roles in which I had to get approval before I sent my email, including when I offboarded a particular position. I had to get approval before it was sent out, as opposed to me being trusted that I am a professional with utmost integrity. Another sign of what chronic misalignment means is when efforts are not meaningfully recognized. Now, of course, a lot of us don't expect to get a pat on the shoulder every time we do something quite amazing. However, some recognition here and there is still important, whether it's public facing, but also private facing during conversations with your manager or whoever is your leader. Your efforts are not only not meaningfully recognized, but sometimes your efforts are credited to other people, whether it's the leader themselves or to other colleagues. Another example of chronic misalignment is when your values don't match the environment. So, for example, when a person's values are integrity, a mission, and so forth, but the day to day operations are often quite contrary. Another example of chronic misalignment is when one is carrying the invisible heaviness of emotional labor. And what does this mean? Emotional labor refers to the management of one's emotions in order to present themselves and interact with other people in a certain way that is a quote unquote culture fit. For example, someone that considers themselves an introvert or a highly sensitive person may need to put in a lot of effort and energy into being a team player, going to happy hour, going to the break room to celebrate whatever it is being celebrated. So there is an assumption that these types of workplace activities are readily welcome by everyone. And also think about, what does this mean for not only introverts, but people that are very, very shy. I mentioned highly sensitive persons. And I'm also thinking broadly the neurodiverse community. And one final comment: when you understand that burnout is really about misalignment and not weakness, you stop trying to just manage time and start asking better questions, including, what is my body, my mood telling me about what's really happening. So, in summary, I do realize that just scratching the surface here, but of course, there will be plenty of videos to further dive into this topic, as well as many other topics related to burnout. So, for today's purposes, burnout is not necessarily about how much you're doing, it's about how powerless, unseen, or disconnected you feel while doing it. So, thank you for watching today's video. Subscribe as I have plenty of ideas to as I have plenty of ideas for future videos. And drop me a DM if there's anything specifically that you wanted to learn more about. Thank you.